morning folks, and welcome once again to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today on this chilly November morning here in the beloved Cumbria. Now I don't normally get up this way very often. I think I've only done about 2 videos from Cumbria. As I said, we don't come up this way on the M6 all that often, but today Mrs H, she's supposed to be on a mandatory work-related training course, aren't you? First aid, I believe you're supposed to be learning.
Yeah, death by PowerPoint.
Unfortunately, Hot Potters, it's been a bit of a clusterfuck because... What's happened, Mrs H? You tell them.
The office sent me to the wrong postcode.
And when you got to the right postcode...
They sent me away because I was more than half an hour late.
I don't know, it's just one of them. Anyway, every cloud has a silver lining, Mrs H. And why don't you join the boys on our trip today, because that was what we were going to do. We were going to go away, Hot Potters, do a video while Mrs H was doing death by PowerPoint. So you've got all 3 of us on this one. So we've come to Sizergh Castle, or Sizergh Castle I believe it's called. That's the name of it back there. Yeah, I think you pronounce it Sizergh. Somebody was asking me for directions earlier and that's how they pronounced it. So if I'm wrong, they're wrong. Now it's a National Trust property. We're going to make our way through the gates here now. It's a little bit of a walk up this pathway, but we're going to make our way up and we're going to take a look around. Unfortunately, the castle's not open today. It's closed for this time of year. But there's nothing stopping us looking around the outside, Mrs H, and just taking it in, really. So I think that's what we'll do now. It's a bit of a walk up here, up this rather picturesque little road, and it's been quite busy, hasn't it? This must be the main entrance. So
to say it's shut,
yeah, to say it's shut, yeah, but you've got workers and that coming, haven't you? We've had to get here early because you were supposed to be on your course, which you're not on now. So what I think we'll do, we'll reconvene at the cafe area and we'll get our bearings and make our way along the public footpath. So join us from there, Hot Potters. And this is what we've come to visit today, Hot Potters. This is the south view of Sizergh Castle. You can see the rear of the tower there, and it looks more impressive than it does on the north side, which we'll take a look at in a moment. Now what we're going to do, we're just going to take a walk around from the public footpaths, because as anybody knows who's ever visited a National Trust site, you've got to pay if you're not a member, and Mr H isn't a member of the National Trust. So what we'll do, we'll just take a look at it from the public footpath, because I'm loath to pay just to walk around the garden and there's not really a lot to see this time of year. Anyway, I'll rejoin Mrs H now on the main path and we'll find our way to that cafe and we'll take it from there. Right folks, well we've made it to the little car park area, haven't we, here at Sizergh Castle?
We have, yeah.
Behind me is the cafe and the little shop. Mrs H was going to go and purchase a pair of socks because you hadn't come prepared, had you, for this?
No, I had work shoes on.
And how much was a pair of socks?
12 quid. I'm not paying 12 quid for socks. I'll have sweaty feet in wellies.
That's the problem with these National Trust places, you know, they nail your cap on, don't they, if you not remember?
Yeah.
Anyway, what we're going to do, because I think it's £4 to walk around those gardens. I'm not prepared to pay that either, Mrs H. not for walk around at this time of year. What we're going to do instead, we'll go onto the public footpath, which is just through that gate there. We'll just swing around, Mrs H. And we'll walk around for free. As it should be, Hot Potters. Right then, we'll make our way to that gate. Another thing that always annoys me with these places, I'm on a bit of a roll now, aren't I?
Yeah, you're in a rant mode.
Is, why do they always do that gift aid thing? You have a standard price and then they say, you want to do gift aid? You know, and they say, no, I have to pay my taxes and so should you. And here we have the first building that you come to once you get through the entrance area here at Sizergh Castle. Once you come through there, this is the first building to greet you. Now looking at it, it looks to me like it's been some stables at some point that. Today, I don't know if you can make out on that sign, it says it's the estate office. But judging from those archways, the way they've been blocked up with stone, I should imagine that that was a stable block at some point back in the day. Right then, we're going to make our way now down this path here, and we should be able to see the front of the house. And here we are at the rather magnificent entrance to Sizergh Castle. Now that frontage is Tudor. accounts. Apologies for the wind. It's howling down here, as we say, up north. Now this home is currently the home of the Strickland family, and they've owned this castle for 750 years, Hot Potters. And they've done so pretty well, really, owning it for that length of time, because normally, you know, they lose property through marriage and that, you know. Back in the day, they always wanted to have a son so that they could guarantee that the property and lands would stay into the family, but they've held on to it for 750 years. The oldest part is that tower, I believe, which is known as a solar tower, and that dates from the 14th or 15th century. But just look at that. Imagine having that as your home. And apparently they still live in the house, the Stricklands, or it's still classed as their seat, so to speak. Probably why there's a gate. Got a little cat there rubbing up against me. You know, so the National Trust sort of manage it these days, and the public are allowed in on certain days. But it's still their home. Fair play to them. Impressive gate post there. Like some shell type thing. If you're wondering what that noise is in the background, they're mowing the lawns. Right then, we'll continue with our little tour. And we're now at the rear of the house. This here is the south side of that tower that I've just shown you from the front. Our little friend, that cat, it seems to have followed us in and then it's left us now, hasn't it?
It has, yeah, tried to tripping you up.
Yeah, a few times. That's probably what it does with visitors. But just look at this, it's magnificent, all this, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, I'll give the National Trust the due. They really keep these gardens and that, they really keep them in tip-top condition, don't they?
They do.
We've got the grand staircase here, leading up to it.
It's not been used for a while, I don't think, though.
No, it's not. It's not. No, I don't know if this particular venue is used for weddings and things like that. A lot of these National Trust places, they do use them for that, don't they?
They do, but then they only allow you certain bits. Well, I know we looked at one, didn't we, for our wedding?
We did, yeah, in Rufford. We did. I mean, if you can get the lifetime membership of 75 quid, I think it is for an individual, and £120 for a joint one, it is worth it, you know. But you've got to really go around, haven't you, and got to really travel.
Yeah.
You know, that's the idea, and you can go and visit all these houses. Now, while we're talking about this, I'm going to give a shout out to a particular YouTuber called Crusader Dan. He's actually done that. He first started off with metal detecting, and then he's moved more over to get himself one of these lifetime memberships, or whatever it be, of the National Trust. He's just going round visiting all them houses. If this is your kind of thing, I'll put a link up to his channel now. Go over there, give him a thumbs up, drop him a sub and things like that. And why not say in the comments section, Mr H has sent you. I'll leave that with you, Hot Potters. But yeah, he's a budding YouTuber and he's doing very well for himself. I always like to give people a bit of a leg up. Right, we'll continue looking at this, Mrs H, I think. It's really impressive. Like I said, they do sterling work, don't they, National Trust, when they come to think?
Yeah, they do.
You know. This is like a terraced area of the gardens. Just take over from you there, Mrs H. Because there's steps here and you can't really get down with a pram. Look at those lawns that they've done there. And that's looking over that way. Let's go down here, I think. Fantastic. And there we have a closer look at what I believe is the solar tower. They used to believe it was a Peel tower at one time, spelt as in the footballer's name Pele. I don't know what the difference is other than the dates. Maybe someone who knows a bit more about architecture of these type of houses could tell me more. Right then, I'm gonna get back up those steps there, and join Mrs H up at the top. These are the doors, the rear doors. We'll go and take a little look around. As I say, it's not open today, so I'm going to be a bit respectful because the family may be in residence. Let's look at those big iron, well, brass knockers. Bet those cost a pretty penny when they were first commissioned. Then we have this rather impressive archway, which is the steps that lead down. You've got this curious little door here. I wonder if this was for servants, Mrs H, back in the day.
Possibly.
You know, goods in. This is when Lord at Manor comes and opens the door now and asks you, what do you want?
I like the knockers from Christmas Carol.
Yeah, Scrooge. Let's take another look over at the lands, because they have got on this particular lawn, I'm hoping I can see it without having to go on. There we go. They have one of those little summer house type things at the end of the terrace. They're very popular in Victorian times, them. Just be like a little alcove with an archway built over it and a bench inside, and the idea was you'd go in there and while away the hours from outside. Get out of the house for a little bit. Mind you, if you had a house this size, you could get lost in it, couldn't you, really? Right then, Mrs H, I think we'll make our way back through the gardens and make our way down towards the pub, which still bears the Strickland family name. It's a rather imposing building, you'll see when we get there. But first, we'll take a walk through the gardens and we'll make our way out of this area. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to see this time of year, but it's nice just coming round and having a little nosy, isn't it, Mrs H? And this is a really old part of the building, I think, Mrs H. This might be that 14th century part. You know, it always amazes me how this stands, because there's no bond to it.
No nails.
Maybe this is the solar tower, I don't know. Again, you would need someone who knows a bit more. Guided tours are available, apparently. Fortunately, these places, they suffer from a lot of damp. It's in the walls there. And we'll just have a look at those gardens there. This is a view of the rock gardens here that Sizergh Castle is pretty well known for. Okay folks, well we're back outside the cafe area. We come down the public footpath and we're back where we started basically. Hope you enjoyed that little look around Sizergh Castle. Unfortunately this time of year there's not really a lot going on, is there, Mrs H?
No, there's not.
It's just one of those things, unfortunately. Time of year and all that. But I do encourage people to come and take a look at it. It's steeped in history. You know, it's had extensions built in Elizabethan period, Georgian period and Tudor period. So I should imagine when it is open, there's a lot to look at. But what you've got to remember with these National Trust places is, if you're not a member, they nail your cap on, don't they, at entrance fees?
Yeah, they do.
I mean, they're wanting £4 to go around those gardens today, and as you could see, there's not really a lot to see.
No.
I'm just glad we didn't pay it.
Nope.
You know, nobody stopped us, There's no signs up, was there?
Nope.
Anyway, we're going to close this video now by the Strickland Arms. We're going to take a little look at that pub, because no stately home is worth its salt if it doesn't have a pub named after the family that own it, is it?
No.
So we're going to take a look at that 19th century, it's at least 19th century, public house. I think it's on the Ordnance Survey map way back in 1841, so it's probably older than that. It's probably late 18th century. But who knows? Anyway, we'll take a look at it because it is rather imposing, and then we'll wrap this video up, Mrs H, and we'll go in search of a cafe for a little bit of grub.
Yeah.
Right then, make our way back down the way we came. Unfortunately, the pub doesn't open until 12, and I think it costs you an arm and a leg if you want to.
They usually are, though. Any pub near a national
Well,
trust.
I think this is one of the reasons why we don't really come to Cumbria a lot, because it is, sadly, it is touristy, unfortunately, and they do nail people's caps on. I'm sure if you live here, you know where you're going and all that good stuff. You know, you can have a cheap day out, but if, like us, you've just come up for the day, and we were supposed to be in a particular area, wasn't we?
Yeah.
That's why I chose here, because it was supposed to be where you would be going. Welcome back, folks. Behind me is the Strickland Arms, and it literally is right outside the gates of the Sizergh estate. Now, a little footnote, the Sizergh estate is now been incorporated into the Lake District National Park, Mrs H.
Has it?
Yeah, they extended it in 2016 apparently, and you know, made it a wider, in a wider radius. So this is all part of the national park now.
All right.
As indeed is this pub. So we'll take a closer look at it. As I say, we're not going to actually go inside because we're a little bit too early, and I think it's a little bit too pricey for Mr H's pocket, unfortunately. But yeah, I would say myself it's certainly early 19th century, this pub, but there's a good possibility it's 18th century. Looks like it's been there quite a while, that. I bet there's been a few pants downed in there, Mrs H.
Oh, yeah.
Very imposing though, isn't it? It's a big building.
I like them. I would say I like all the chimneys on top.
Yeah, the way that they've built them in like a diamond formation type of thing.
Ooh.
Get run over here. Damn tourists. Bet that's what the locals think, don't they?
Wandering around with a camera.
Yeah. Now, when I looked on that map, the 1841 one, there was an Ordnance Survey benchmark in the corner, but it since looks like this old building's been rendered. Judging from the chimneys, it looks like it's been a stone building at one time, but they've rendered it since, so it's probably underneath that corner there where that moss is now, all covered up. But it's got the name on it of the family, and then that's their coat of arms, I should imagine, which is those shells, which fitted nicely with the gateposts over there where you saw those stone shells as I showed you. But yeah, those rooms at the top, those will have been the cheap ones, I should imagine, when this was an inn. It looks a bonny pub.
It does.
It does, you know. One of its welcoming themes apparently is the open roaring fire, which you can never beat. Mr H is a sucker for that, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. I'm surprised we're not going in there.
Well. I think we'll be able to cut this visit short a bit, you know, we don't want to be out too long, do we?
No.
Really. And we'll get back. Right, folks, I'm going to wrap this video up here outside the Strickland Arms because it was just a quick look at Sizergh Castle and the surrounding estate. It was lucky that we got into the gardens. We did manage to get in there. I didn't think we was going to get to take a look at the back of the tower and those gardens because they did want money for it. And as I say, I'm loath to pay it when there's nothing for you to see, basically. But that's my thing. Don't forget to check out Crusader Dan's channel. Drop him an hello and say Mr H sent you. I'm going to leave it on that note. So from myself, from Mrs H, you shouldn't really be here. You should be watching PowerPoints by now. And little Toby James, who's well asleep in the pram there. It is. Bye-bye for now.